At midnight, a cry rang out. At midnight? Really? We've heard this story countless times. The story of the 10 virgins. 5 wise, 5 foolish. And the conclusion is always the same. Make sure you're among the wise. But what if we've been reading too fast? Because if we actually listen to the story Jesus is telling, without ready-made answers in our heads, there's more beneath the surface, more between the lines, something that doesn't quite sit right. Was there more Jesus wanted to say? Because the text says that no one stayed awake in the time he describes. No one. Isn't that strange? So let me ask you, are you one of the 10? The ones who fell asleep? Jesus says it without any hesitation. Everyone grew tired. Everyone fell asleep. Not just the foolish. Not just the unprepared. Everyone. The wise fell asleep. The foolish fell asleep. And that forces an honest question. If everyone fell asleep, who are we meant to identify with? Because the moment we automatically place ourselves among the wise, we also place ourselves among those who slept. But in this parable, like so many of Jesus' parables, something happens. In the middle of the night, a cry rings out. The bridegroom is coming. But stop for a moment. Stop. Who is crying out? Who? It can't be the wise. They're asleep. It can't be the foolish. They're asleep. So is Jesus suggesting that there are actually some who are awake in this time? Some who cry out? Some who are able to wake others? Were there people awake the whole night? What if, when we let the light come from another angle, we suddenly see more? More people appear, this history. A detail we almost never stop to notice. Go to those who sell oil. Who are they? Was there really, in the middle of this dark hour, people who had oil to spare? And not just that. They had so much they lived in abundance. Enough for themselves and for others. Can that really be true? What if Jesus is saying that even in this time, there are people with access to oil even at midnight? People who don't just survive, but who become a source. Suddenly, it's no longer 10 people. Suddenly, the story is much bigger. What if your calling is to be the one who cries out in a dark time? What if your calling is to be the one who carries oil in abundance, enough to share with others? Was there someone who had oil while all 10 slept? What if there were hidden ones in the night? Not counted, not named, perhaps the wisest of all. Hidden, until the time is right. What if this was never meant to be a parable about 2 groups, 10 people? What if it's a picture of many callings and many people in the middle of a future night? Where many, most, have fallen asleep. Those who sleep and lack everything. Those who sleep but at least have just enough. And then, those who live in abundance. Those who know the source. Surely, they must be wise. And then, there is the voice. The one who doesn't just have enough oil, but is ready, awake, able to cry out. At midnight, a cry was heard. Was it one voice? Was it several? What if it was many? What if many began to cry out, and cried out at the right time? Wouldn't those be the wisest of all? The story doesn't say it was impossible to get oil. Some had oil. Some were even awake enough to see in advance that the bridegroom was on his way. What if Jesus' story includes far more than 10? What if? So who are you in these last days? Have you fallen asleep too? What if your calling is to be among the awake? What if? What if your calling is to live in abundance, in the middle of the night, with enough to share? What if you are chosen to cry out in the middle of the night, But at exactly the right time? What if,